In this video, we're going to learn how to create a weighted total grade based on calculated columns and individual columns rather than on categories. So the first thing we want to do is to set up either average or total columns based on our sample grading system. And so in this example, we are going to average together these weekly quizzes to be 5% of the grade. The reflections are also going to average together for 15% and the discussions as well for 15%. So what I need to do is set up those columns that's going to create those averages. You could do this as an average column or as a total column. The difference would be the average column is going to weight all of those items evenly, and a total column is going to weight them proportionally based on the number of points a student could have earned. In this case, since all of the items are worth 100 points, or 100%, we're just going to average them together. I want the average of their grades. So I'm going to go to Create Calculated Column, and then select Average Column. I'll name this. I'll go ahead and create the quiz average, and then I want to scroll down to select columns. I do not want all grade columns, I only want the ones that count as the quizzes. So I will go to Select Columns and Categories, and then I will choose the ones that I need. There's chapters 1 through 5 quizzes, and click the button to the right of that to add to the selected columns list. And then I also need to make sure I get chapters 6 through 10. And again, use the button to the right to add those. I can double check my list to make sure that I haven't missed any quizzes, check the selected columns to make sure they're all there, and then hit Submit to save. Remember that I also need a discussions average. Again, scroll down to select columns and categories. And this time I need to select all of the discussions. There were 5 of those. Use the arrow to add to selected columns, double check to make sure I got everything I needed, and scroll down and hit Submit to save. And that one last column I need is for reflections. Again, go down to select columns. This time I'm looking for the reflections. There were 3 of those. Add them to selected columns and hit Submit. So if you're doing this in the beginning of the semester and you haven't created all of your columns, you'll just need to know to go back into these averages columns, click Edit Column Information, and add the chapter quizzes or the discussions or whatever else should be included in that column as you create them throughout the semester. If they're not included here, they're not going to be calculating into the final grade, because we're going to use this column specifically, these average columns, to create our weighted grade. So let's go ahead and do that. There you already have a default weighted total column, and in order to edit this, click the drop down arrow and go to Edit Column Information. Now we need to select which columns we want to include in our weighted grade. So I don't want any of these chapters because they're already averaged together in this quizzes average. And while I'm down here, I'm going to grab the discussions average and the reflections average. But I also have individual items that I want to add. So I have the midterm exam, I have the final exam, and then I have these 3 essays. And I want to make sure that I look at my grading system that's on the syllabus and accurately put the percentage that's equivalent to that grading system. So my quizzes should be 5%, my discussions should be 15%, my reflections are 15%, my midterm exam is 10%, my final exam is 15%, Essay 1 is 10, Essay 2 is 15, and Essay 3 is 15. And I want to double check to make sure that the total weight equals 100%, and also that this agrees with my syllabus statement. So once I'm done with this, I'll hit Submit to save, And now my grade is going to be averaging the weighted total based on the percentages I've set in the grading system.